Hey everyone, Midorikawa here, and bring you all to a game I think needs some sort of explanation. So, back in the early days of Toonami, there was a small show called Zatch Bell that was on, and it was one of the few shows that it was an anime that I feel is underrated, and it was never actually completed to follow the manga because, well, life happens, and animation companies these days, they don't really do well. But it ran for 150 episodes, 100 of which aired here in America, the last 50 which were only in Japan and other countries. But I kind of feel like this series needs more recognition, especially since Zatch Bell 2, the sequel manga to the original series, has been out for a good while. I think it's a good time to actively show off this game. So, why don't we get started? Let's do normal.
Zatch, ready? Yeah! Are you prepared for battle, Sherry? Yes! Round one! Fight!
So, you have your basic attacks, obviously, which is the B button. It's for the GameCube. You have your spells, which use up a meter. That's the A button. And they have different, kind of like specials in Smash Brothers. You can use different tilts to use a different special. Like, Zakera is the basic one. Zakera is your forward A. Razaruk is your down A, which gives Zatch a boost, but you can't use spells, nor can you really do anything else. If you do side B, then you do a team attack with your partner. Back A is Jacarador. And if you do L, you charge up a special once your meter is complete. You can guard if you have enough energy, but as you saw, they did not.
Zatch, way to go! Thanks! Zatch, ready? Yeah! Out there, let's go! You got it, Layla! Round one!
As I was saying before, I think this series is actually very well done, but just not really out there compared to a lot of anime and other series nowadays. If you do want to watch it, I definitely recommend watching the original Japanese version, but if you want a good laugh, the American dub is it's amazing. It's actually amazing. I remember a lot more of the voices for the American dub, and I appreciated it a lot more. But going back watching the Japanese, it can be fun. One of the quirky things about the series was that it follows a demon child known as Zatch Bell. And he lost his memory due to story purposes, which I'm not going to name.
You bet you will, Zatch!
And he runs into Kyo, who's a high schooler, who very much does not care for having friends, but is very smart.
You need to help me win, Kyo! You got it!
And with Zatch's non-memory, as well as Kyo's high intelligence, and Zatch is very much a softie and loves making friends, it actually is a perfect match for each other. Because you have Kyo, who knows how to bring out the best of everything Zatch has, which is electric-based attacks with some other things. And then you have Kyo, who needs to have friends, and Zatch brings out the best in him, because Zatch wants to always be friends with people. As you see right now, we're fighting Victorine and Mohawk Ace, which they appeared pretty late into the series, or pretty early, depending on how you want to look at it. Ow, thank you. They appeared pretty late into the series. Whoa, Jesus. Bowser Karaka being a spell that Zatch and Kyo got fairly early, but they didn't actually use its true potential until much later in the actual manga. As you can see, Kyo is holding a book which brings out the Mamodo spells. Only the person that is meant to be with the Mamodo can read from the book.
Rampage to your heart's content, Barry. Yes, I sure will.
Round one.
But if enough damage is done to the Mamodo or the book, then it's very possible for the book to burn, meaning the Mamodo will actually end up going home. So, technically, when you think about it, there's no character deaths in the series, but at the same time, there are character deaths. They are being defeated, and they are being sent back home, but it just still feels harsh when you think about it. Ow. So as you can see, you can also use a spell to counter out of a combo if you're being hit, which is a very good counter. Now we're fighting against Ponygon, or Umagon, depending on the translation, also known as Schneider, that's his real name, who does not have a partner in this version of the game because he had not yet met Sunbeam in the American version, so they didn't want to spoil that. And it kind of is a weird situation. If you think about it, it makes him weaker than a lot of the other characters because he doesn't have any spells. He doesn't have anything special about him. He can't really guard. He's kind of a joke character. But if you actually use him correctly, he can be better than a lot of the characters that have partners. Whereas in the Japanese version, where he does have his partner, in all honesty, he can be also broken. Honestly, he's just one of the greatest characters in the series. And I hope he shows up in the sequel manga soon.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna become a kind king.
You bet you will, Zatch.
And as you heard Zatch just say there, he wants to become a kind king. That is the purpose of the series. 100 Mamodo from the Mamodo world are sent to Earth to find their respective partners and eventually fight to a sort of death. Well, really just fight until they defeat the other person's partner, Mamodo. And then the last Mamodo standing becomes the new king. In the series lore, Zatch's father is the current... There's no way I'm getting goofed by this man. In the current lore, Zatch's father was the previous king. And now Zatch wants to become the new king, but he wants to become a benevolent king. One who can stop these fights from happening so that Mamodo don't have to go to Earth and fight for who becomes the next king. And he runs into people like Contrama and Forgori, as well as Ponygon and Sherry and Brago and everybody else that we've seen so far. In various ways they've run into each other. They've run into everyone in this game has practically run into each other, minus a few people. Tia and Megumi being one of the first people that they became friends with.
Zatch, ready? Yeah! Let's go, Tia! Yeah! Round
What
one.
makes the series admirable to me is the fact that they're all different. They're all different people. For example, Kyo, as I said, is a high schooler, and then we have Megumi here, who's an idol. But then you also have Fogore, who's another idol, an Italian idol at that, or rather an Italian singer. Ponygon's partner, who is a racetrack driver, kind of like NASCAR. We have Sherry, who's more of a regal person, having no really job or anything per se, but she's trying to help get her friend back from being mind controlled by the main villain of the early part of the series. And then the Mamodos are each different. Zatch, of course, wants to become a benevolent king. Tia wants to help Megumi become a popular idol.
Zatch, ready? Yeah! Right, so round one.
Kanchame is like the Usopp of the series, if you want to think about it like that. He's very scared, but his techniques allow him to pull some pretty cool wins off and clutches for the team. Then you have Frieza here, otherwise known as Zolfus. I personally like calling him Frieza because that's what he reminds me of, but Zolfus for Zatch Bell fans. You can stop that now. He's not really the best character in this game, and he's one of the main villains of the early series, so I guess they didn't really care for making him worthwhile playing in this version, or any version at that. So yeah, that was the arcade version, the arcade mode of the game, I should say. Pretty simple. Pretty simple. You just run through, you get these points. There's a story mode as well, and you can develop your character, making them stronger in each different way. There's also, you can practice, of course, there's options. There's cards you can collect, and there's one-player mode. I might show off some other characters later down the line. So please like and subscribe if you like that video. And if you want to see more from this game, or more GameCube games, or Switch games maybe, let me know in the comments down below. Subscribing is free, no charge. Liking the video is free. If you don't like it, you can always dislike it. And I hope you enjoyed watching the video. Thank you. Bye.